Hey, what's up, guys? This is Brendan with Evoke Bike. So I had a question from an athlete as we were on a Zoom, and I was like, hey, hang on, let me take my mushrooms. And he's like, wait a minute, do you take those every day? And I was like, maybe I don't talk about this enough. But let me preface this. If you are not into micronutrients, if you are not into like looking at small things that can make a huge difference in your training, this video is not for you. Like if I said, hey, you should probably take spirulina, you're like, nah, I don't do that. Like if you're only into macronutrients, this video just is not for you. So I don't want to waste your time. If you do want to get on board with something that has been a game changer for me, I've been taking mushrooms since about 2015, I want to say. It was before I moved to Nashville. So maybe 2014. And the quick story on this was there was a competitor's product, and Patrick and I were looking into what was in the product, why was it working, why did they pick these ingredients. We started looking at their data that they had put out, and Cordyceps mushrooms was the big thing that we saw was like how they were making all these claims. So what I want to talk about is 3 types of mushrooms: Cordyceps, Reishi, and lion's mane, and how it's had an effect on my cycling training. To get there though, what I want to tell you is the reason I take just mushrooms and not a supplement is because the 2 biggest ingredients were the Cordyceps, which we call into question the type that they had. You can do a ton of research on this. There's CS4 and there's Cordyceps M. Even within the types of mushrooms that you want to take, how it's produced now is absolutely vital that you're getting a good product. I cannot stress that enough. Do not spend money on a bad product, and you have to do your own research on that. I'm going to give you a brand that I trust and believe in and that I have linked up with for the past, I posted on Instagram 3 years, that if you want to try it, have a code you can use, but go your own route, but just make sure you're buying something that's legit. The other big product in it or ingredient in it was beta-alanine, which we're huge fans of. We've been taking that for years. And we don't take that anymore because we use Lactigo, because Lactigo immediately in 45 minutes hits all your muscles. You don't have to have the actual chemical bonding of the beta-alanine and L-histidine to create carnosine in your body. There's a whole other blog on that. But in those 2, we wanted to understand how we could get the best of those 2 ingredients. So Lactigo does the beta-alanine side and Real Mushrooms does the Cordyceps side. So in finding Real Mushrooms, I then started studying more about all these different micronutrients. I think all these, little pieces, we talk about micro wins, they can have such a huge impact. And I have, over the past 2 years, boiled down what is my go-to for morning and at night. So Cordyceps is for performance, Reishi is for sleep and recovery, and lion's mane is for cognition, your brain. Let's talk about the Cordyceps real quick. And I'm going to keep this 10 minutes or less. So I have a few bullet points on each. I'll post some studies that you can look into. And if you have questions, definitely hit me up. If you want the code to try Real Mushrooms, it's evoke.bike. It's 15% off. It's pretty stout. So Cordyceps was originally used by Tibetan herdsmen in high altitudes to improve their oxygen uptake and their endurance. They could stay out there longer. Well, athletes started thinking about this and, hey, could I use this and get faster? Well, there's studies out there that show it sounds impossible. Time to exhaustion, peak power, and ventilatory threshold. You're also improving your VO2Max. So basically everything in cycling, which when we first read this, we're like, okay, that really turns me off. But when you're increasing the amount of oxygen that you can use, you're just getting faster across the board. So I like to run experiments on myself. So it was 2017 that I decided, hey, I'm going to go on this. You have to start it for about 6 to 8 weeks. That's another reason why everybody doesn't do this, because people want to take something and have it immediately work. It has to build up in your system. So I started taking it, and when I was doing FTP efforts or VO2 max efforts, it's just like the breathing was easier. It's really hard to explain, but if you ask any athlete that's taking Cordyceps, the hard efforts, it just makes like you're just a better athlete. And I know this sounds like total BS, and that's why I'm just saying I'm sharing my experience with this. I don't care if it's better for me if you don't take it. When you're going hard, it just makes it more possible to do so. And I was looking at Patrick like, dude, I can't believe this works. So then I took it off the table. I went off it for 10 weeks. And I'd say probably in about 2 to 3 weeks, I started noticing more like doing similar intervals. And I was like, okay. And I actually only made it 5 weeks until I decided, okay, I'm going back on the mushrooms. Since then, whenever I skip them, like if I went on a trip or if I forgot them, it's just crazy. And so I'm sold for life. And that really made me look into other micronutrients, basic things like chlorella and spirulina and what else can I be taking that's going to help me get better. So the other thing is there's a study that shows because of the increased utilization and blood flow, you can improve your lactate clearance, and then mobilizing free fatty acids will help you to preserve glycogen storage. So for all these gravel events, long road events, grand fondos, you're going to have more glycogen stores available for later in the ride. Obviously super important. The next one, Reishi, which one is that? This one. This I've been only using for the past probably 8 months, and really for sleep and recovery. Now we all know how important sleep is. I got 5 minutes. We know how important sleep is, but this will, a lot of people claim, help you reduce stress. Now, the thing about the sleep is this is not going to give you more REM sleep. There's actually a study that shows it's not more REM. This helps with your sleep cycle, keeping you on a natural circadian rhythm, but it helps reduce the sleep latency. For people that use Whoop, you could test this. Start taking Reishi, you will fall asleep faster. It is incredible. When I don't take Reishi, I notice that I toss and turn more. For me, I end up staying asleep longer, like just getting a full sleep in rather than waking up. Reishi is huge for that. And think about the fact that if you could get an extra hour of sleep over 8 days, you would get a whole other night's sleep if you're sleeping 8 hours. If, say you only sleep 7 hours. In a week, if you increased 1 hour a day, you would get a whole other day of sleep. That is mind-boggling to think about. Like, it's just crazy. The other thing is that because of the beta glucans, which, do your research, is a big aspect to the mushrooms, because they are in all of the real mushrooms, there's a study that shows it helps support immune function. Now, you know how I am about studies. For every study, there's an anti-study, especially in the cycling world related to power and metrics and things like that. So these are things that you have to try and see if it works for you, okay? Lastly, lion's mane, cognition. When I would train and do, say, a 500 TSS weekend or go out for 2 4-hour back-to-back rides, on Monday when I was in the medical device world, I remember being in the hospital and I just felt like, kind of the emoji with just like the 2 slits and the slit mouth, like you're just kind of out of it. This for mental cognition, I was like, I don't think so. That's probably not going to work. And it took me until about 6 months ago. Once I saw how the Reishi was working, I was like, okay, maybe I'll try another mushroom from these guys. Wow. Take 2 of these in the morning and I just feel sharper. And I've tried it. I've done my own personal test of, hey, should I take it out? What I need to do is a blind study. I need to have like empty or capsules. I need to have somebody mix up my mushrooms or something. Maybe I'll do that next. The other thing is that it can help to fight against like depression and anxiety feelings. I think that, when I'm in a big training block, there are days or, you go out and you have a 5-hour ride and maybe you come back and you're like really trying to squeeze in all this training and it's putting a little bit of stress on your life. I don't know about you. Sometimes I'm like, man, what am I doing? Like, do I really need to be dedicating all this time to this thing? You can get a little anxious about training. There's just a lot of emotions that come with being an adult athlete. And this, you just got to try it for yourself. And that's why I've hesitated for a long time to make this video because I don't want it to be salesy. But I do. Once we started saying, hey, we're sharing our experience, this is what I'm doing. So that's why I'm going to share it. So my stack is 4 cordyceps in the morning, 2 lion's mane in the morning. And I actually also use 5 defenders for immune health. We won't go fully into this, but there's 5 different mushrooms in it. And then at nighttime, I got my notes here so I don't say the wrong thing. I do 4 cordyceps, 2 Reishi, and 1 of these. So find what works for you, but this is really both times, morning and night. And you want to be getting at least 3,000 milligrams to 4,500 milligrams. So I take 8 of these a day. If you take 1, this is the one you want to take. I would say I'm torn. For a while, I was really all about the Reishi because of the sleep, but the cognition aspect, it's pretty killer too. So comment below. I know some people are going to hate this video. Some people don't want to try new things. Some people are like, yeah, you're a salesman. This is what I'm doing. And if you take them, let me know how it works for you. See you guys.